killed the vampire who raised me, but he suddenly appeared on my wedding day. I trembled, looking at the assembled guests with nowhere to run. He grabbed my neck, baring his fangs. I raised you, and this is how you repay me? Before anyone could stop him, he carried me away, back to the castle I once called home. Now I'm his prisoner, and he has only one rule: obey him, or the man I was about to marry will die. The winter night was merciless. Snow drifted through the silent streets of the old city, covering broken stones and forgotten corners. In the shadow of a cathedral wall, a little girl curled against the cold stone steps, arms wrapped around her thin body. Only a small silver pendant hung around her neck, too fine for a child living on the streets. Her lips trembled with cold. "Please," she whispered to no one. "I don't want to die." Footsteps echoed across the empty square, slow, measured, powerful. The girl lifted her head weakly. A tall man stood before her. His black coat brushed the snow like a shadow, pale skin, dark hair tied loosely at the nape of his neck. His eyes glowed faintly crimson beneath the lantern light. A vampire. In this city, everyone knew the name: Count Vitamir Platz, the lord of the ancient castle on the hill. A monster. Yet the man knelt beside her. "Want to survive?" His voice was low, almost curious. The girl tried to crawl back, but her limbs were too weak. Yes, please help." He sighed quietly. He removed his coat and wrapped it around her. "Do you have a name?" he asked. She shook her head. Vedamir frowned. Then after a moment he said, "Then I will give you one." He lifted her easily into his arms. "Mira." The girl's eyelids drooped as warmth spread through her frozen body. "Mira?" Vedamir looked toward the distant castle lights. "It means wonder." His crimson eyes softened slightly. "And finding you tonight was unexpected." Years passed. Mira grew within the walls of the great castle overlooking the city. She was educated by the finest tutors: languages, history, music. Vedamir rarely appeared during the day, but every evening he would visit the library where she studied. He always brought her something: books, candied fruit, once a small white wolf cub. "You will spoil her, my lord," the servant whispered besides. Vedamir ignored them. One evening, Mira asked him, "Why did you take me in?" Vedamir stood by the tall window, moonlight outlining his tall frame. "You were dying. That's not an answer." Silence filled the room. Then he turned. "Because no child should die alone in the snow." Mira smiled faintly. "You're nicer than people think." Vedamir's lips curved slightly. "Do not say that too loudly." When Mira turned 18, Vedamir allowed her to attend the city academy. "It will be good for you," he said, "to see the world beyond the castle." She met Stephen Harrington there, handsome, charming, human. He made her laugh. He treated her like an ordinary girl, not the mysterious ward of a vampire count. They fell in love quickly. Vedamir disliked him instantly. "Humans are fragile creatures," the vampire said coldly. "He makes me happy," Mira replied. Vedamir watched her for a long moment. "I will not forbid it." But his voice carried quiet warning. "Just remember what is most important to you." One rainy evening, Stephen took Mira to meet his parents. Lord and Lady Harrington greeted her warmly. Too warmly. They stared at her pendant. "Where did you get that?" Lady Harrington asked. "I've always had it," Mira said. The woman's face went pale. "That belonged to your mother." Mira froze. "You knew my parents?" Lord Harrington sighed heavily. "Yes. They were very good ones." Mira's heart pounded. "What happened to them?" The couple exchanged a look. Then Lord Harrington said quietly, "They were killed." "By whom?" His voice dropped to a whisper. "Count Vitamir Platz." The room spun. The man who had raised her, a murderer, her parents' murderer. Lady Harrington touched her hand. "He adopted you to hide his crime." Rage flooded Mira's chest. That night she returned to the castle with trembling hands. Vedamir waited in the grand hall. "You are late." She walked toward him slowly. "Did you kill my parents?" Vedamir frowned. "What? Answer me." His eyes darkened. "Who told you this?" "That means it's true. Mira." She drove the sharpened wooden stake into his chest. Vedamir's eyes widened. Pain flashed across his face. "You..." Blood spread across his black coat. He collapsed, and the vampire count did not move again. 1 year later, the city celebrated. Mara stood in a white wedding gown beside Stephen in the cathedral, yet her heart felt strangely hollow. The priest raised his hands. If anyone objects, the doors burst open. A cold wind swept through the church. Gasps filled the hall. A tall figure walked down the aisle. Black coat, pale skin, crimson eyes. Vitamir Platz, alive! Mira's breath stopped. Stephen's parents turned ghost white. Vitamir stopped before the altar. He looked Mira up and down, then said calmly, "Your chosen groom is normal as hell." His eyes flicked to Stephen with clear disdain. Far inferior to me. Chaos erupted. Before anyone could react, Vitamir pulled Mira into his arms. The world dissolved into darkness. Mira woke in her bedroom at the castle. The door was locked. Vitamir sat beside the window. Alive. Perfectly alive. "You're alive." He looked at her coldly. "You tried to kill me. You murdered my parents." Vitamir's expression hardened. "Who told you that?" "Stephen's parent." A long silence followed. Vitamir's lips curved into a bitter smile. "I see." He stood and walked toward her. "Listen carefully, Mira. If you attempt to escape..." His voice dropped dangerously soft. "Stephen will die." Fear gripped her chest. "You can't." Vitamir's crimson eyes burned. "Try me." Days passed. Mira remained trapped in the castle. One night she overheard voices in the corridor, Vitamir speaking to one of his spies. "The Harringtons have fled. They destroyed their laboratory." "Any survivors in the laboratory?" Vitamir asked sharply. "Yes, my lord. There are still half of the captured vampires." Mira's heart stopped. "What are those experiments about?" Vitamir whispered. "They were attempting to weaponize vampire blood." Vitamir went silent. Then he murmured slowly, "So that's why they feared and managed to kill me." Mira stepped into the hall. "What does that mean?" Vitamir turned to her. "The Harrington family were conducting illegal experiments. I discovered it. They feared I would after them." He looked straight into her eyes. "So they used you." Mira's knees weakened. "They told you I killed your parents." Vitamir's voice softened. "Because they needed someone close enough to kill me." Tears blurred her vision. "I believed them." Vitamir touched the scar over his heart. His gaze held no anger, only quiet sadness. Days later, Vitamir's forces captured Stephen's parents trying to flee the country. Under interrogation, the truth spilled out. They had indeed known Mira's parents. Her parents had discovered their experiments and threatened to expose them. The Harringtons had them murdered. Then years later, when Vitamir discovered their secret laboratory, they panicked. They manipulated Mira into killing him first. The moment Mira heard the confession, she collapsed. Vitamir caught her before she fell. "I tried to kill you," she whispered. "You didn't hit hard." Mira buried her face in his chest. "You should hate me." Her voice trembled. Vitamir gently lifted her chin. "No, my love." He stepped closer, lifting her chin so she had no choice but to meet his eyes. "I should have taken you away from the world years ago." His voice lowered. "But I wanted you to choose freely." His thumb brushed lightly across her cheek. "That was my mistake." Mira's heart pounded. "What?" "Be my bride, Mira." Vitamir didn't hesitate. His crimson gaze burned into hers. Mira's heart felt like it might break. Stephen had promised love, but his love had come with lies. Vitamir had demanded loyalty, but he had never betrayed her. She realized something terrifying in that moment. Vitamir had always been honest about what he was. She took a slow breath. "If I marry you," she said quietly, "there's no escape, is there?" Vitamir's answer was immediate. "None." A strange calm settled in her chest. Then she nodded. The wedding was held in the ancient hall of the castle. Candlelight flickered against towering stone walls. Nobles, vampires, and servants alike stood in silence as Mira walked toward the altar. Her dress was deep crimson, the color of blood. Vitamir waited for her in black, watching her like she belonged to him already. When she reached him, his gaze softened slightly. She sighed. "I was foolish." Vitamir tilted his head. "The moment you found me, I was destined to be your bride." Mira met his crimson eyes without fear. "Now I finally know who truly loves me." For the first time, Vitamir looked genuinely surprised. The priest cleared his throat nervously and began the ceremony. "Do you count Vitamir Platz?" "I do," Vitamir said calmly. The priest blinked. "Very well. And do you, Mira? Yes. Her answer came just as quickly. A murmur ran through the hall. Vidomir stared at her. You didn't even hesitate. Mira smiled faintly. You've waited long enough. Vidomir's expression darkened with something deeper than triumph. Possession, relief, love. When the ceremony ended, he pulled her close. You understand what this means? He murmured near her ear. You are mine forever. Mira looked up at him calmly. I know. Vidomir's fingers brushed the pendant at her throat. And one day, he whispered softly, I will make you immortal. Mira's heart fluttered. She slipped her hand into his. I'll accept that too. Vidomir smiled slowly, and this time, when he kissed his bride, she kissed him back without hesitation, because the vampire she once tried to kill was the only one who had ever truly chosen her.